Still plugged up. So
I understand that.
if I'm too loud.
We're good? Oh my goodness. Adriana, I'm excited to be here in the Racing Junk booth. This has been a bit of a mess. I know we're a few minutes late, guys, and I apologize. Bought a Jackery box to do things just like this, and the Jackery box won't work. It shows it's working, but the computer says no, thank you, we're not doing it. So our friends at Racing Junk Classified have graciously laid out this really long extension cord in this huge booth. Yeah. And so we appreciate you guys doing that. We're here today. We're going to talk about what Racing Junk is, what they do, all that kind of stuff, how they help the community and the Drag and Drive community. But we're also going to talk about Bryant's Javelin. And then we're going to have the Havliks on to discuss the fastest streetcar shootout event, where they have a bounty on Bryant Goldstone for when he returns to that, because he won it all last year. So I'm really excited about the next few minutes, and well, I guess probably the next hour. Yeah, we're going to be here for a minute for sure, and we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. So, Mr. Eric, if you'll flip on her mic, we'll get into this. Her mic is on. Oh, okay, great. Never mind then. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you do at Racing Junk, and we'll get into it.
All right. My name is Andreana Didden. I am the editorial director for Racing Junk and for all of our classified sites. In fact, what that basically means is that we cover racing news, we cover racing performance stuff, events that are happening all over the country and internationally, like you guys. And we have news, we have events, we have newsletters that go out, we have social media, obviously, like everybody. So my job is to kind of oversee the strategy for all of that. Wow. This is Trade Show. PRI is one of my favorite shows because I get to put my reporter hat back on.
Yes.
Instead of just like, management. It is great to actually be out here talking to drivers, talking to our users and fans, talking to folks like you guys who are holding events, hosting events, keeping the community active and present and all of that. So
well, one thing that's really fun that I think is really good for you guys that works for the community so well is just the vastness of what Racing Junk offers.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And the news and all that kind of stuff.
So
it's everything everywhere.
Absolutely. And so what I do is just a really tiny portion of what Racing Junk is and what it does. So Racing Junk is the #1 race and performance marketplace for racing performance. So if you have a vehicle, an engine, parts, chassis, a racetrack, if you have any of those things to sell, Racing Junk is a great place for it. And the way that we do that platform is we don't take a commission for your ad. We list it on there, and then you have the transaction with the buyer, potential buyer. If you are a buyer, you come and you look and see what's there. And again, everything for sale. Obviously, drag racing is a huge part of our user base, but there is race stuff on there from every type of racing.
Oh yeah.
ARCA racing, Trans Am, dirt, late model, modifieds, motorcycle, boat drag racing. Really everything is on there, road course, all of that stuff, and really all of the components for it. So we have new and used things. And what we really do is put the community together.
Yes.
We started 25 years ago. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary in business, which is great, particularly for an online space. Trailers were the big thing. Trailers are still huge for us, right?
Yes.
If you have any kind of race equipment, if you do any kind of racing, you need a trailer.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of our business, is again connecting people with trailers, trailer dealers, but people buying and selling new and used trailers on it is huge. When I came into this part of the business, I came from the motorcycle industry, or the motorcycle editorial industry.
Nice.
Let's be clear. I did learn to ride, but I definitely did not race anything. Just learning about the different types of trailer. Like, I didn't think a toter home was a real thing.
Right. You thought it was a funny word?
Exactly, I did. I still think it's a funny word, frankly. But just it was amazing to me, like the range of type of trailers. So, but the Racing Junk also really connects the race community. We've always been connected to the grassroots community.
Mm-hmm.
Which you guys obviously.
Did I see Grassroots Magazine?
Yeah, Grassroots Magazine was coming over and talking to one of our folks. We used to do a lot of on the ground race support.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll still see our banners at tracks. We have a lot of partnerships to show that support for that community, because that's really where it starts, right? And like those are usually the people who need to like buy or sell an engine at the last minute, right? When they break something, or like for instance, somebody has to put their finger in a hole of something that broke and then they have to replace it post race. They come on Racing Junk and they look for that part.
Yeah.
And we connect people geographically, and it is also just a space that people will come, and I think it's comfort for a lot of folks,
Yeah.
racers who are between seasons, or they want to sell their stuff and start over or whatever. They also come and browse. We have a huge number of people who just
Yeah.
come every day and look at stuff because again, it's part of the racing community.
Well,
right?
and you never know what you're going to find.
You don't.
So instead of maybe sometimes those late night Facebook Marketplace
Exactly.
searches, we're doing some
Exactly.
Racing Junk searches.
Well, and like for us, again, I am happy to talk trash about Facebook, but we do our best to eliminate scammers, right? There's no way on the internet to completely get rid of it, but
Yep.
to educate our audience about how to safely post an ad, how to safely buy a vehicle or a part or
Yep.
something like that. And looking at the ads, we have people who have years of experience in the industry being able to look at something and say, like, that's not a real ad or that's not a real offer.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make any sense. Like, that price doesn't make any sense. That that information just can't be accurate.
It's too inexpensive. It's
exactly.
Too cheap, and there's one picture and it's blurry.
Right. And, things are sorted geographically. We have in-house customer service that people can call when they need to use it. So when they come and they, go through everything, they're browsing, they're scanning, they're looking for what they want, or they're just enjoying the possibility. If they then decide to use the site, all of the tools are in place to do it safely.
Yeah.
So it's
so you said something there that's interesting to me. You said geographical, and that to me, as a drag and drive media guy and racer in the past, if I break something somewhere, hey man, perfect.
Yeah.
I can actually go.
Exactly.
I can jump on Racing Junk, and I can hopefully find the parts and pieces I need to put my car back together.
That's exactly, and hopefully within a reasonable mile.
Yeah.
That's right. You need it then.
If you're gonna have to walk it or ride your scooter, you need it to be close.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it is huge, right? If you're racing and it's race season, you don't want to wait a week to get the part, right?
That's exactly.
Particularly with the series that you guys run.
Oh yeah, listen,
see it right away.
You've got to have it, and a lot of times, especially multiple cars. We're going to talk to Bryant Goldstone here in a minute. Now he's going to be campaigning 2 cars.
I know.
This guy's going to need parts all the time, every time. One thing that you guys do a great job on is that I don't see. There's other sites that you can buy stuff on, but they're loaded with just new stuff.
Yes.
And so that's what I've always enjoyed about doing some looking on Racing Junk. We host the last segment of our news every weekend is found on Racing Junk.
Right.
And so we'll tell the story of the drag and drive segment in a minute, but you guys always had really cool stuff. And so Eric would go through and he would pick out a few things to show us. And then once, sometime earlier this year, you guys completely added a segment for us. We appreciate it. We asked for it. You guys did it. It was so cool. And we're seeing that segment grow. It's literally drag and drive cars that people can search on in drag cars. They can search on drag and drive. And these are cars that have competed in drag and drive events or were built for drag and drive and now are being sold for whatever reason along the way.
Right.
So it's really cool. And as this community grows, I know that segment will grow. We've gone from like 3 or 4 to now like in the 40s, which is really cool. Because you start thinking about 40 cars across the country, man, that's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. And it also shows that element of the drag race community is growing, right? Which makes sense. Right. As particularly like NHRA keeps adding different things, and like to be able to just take your car.
Yeah.
And obviously people are just like pulling up in their daily driver, but still to be able to start with a base level of something and build up from that. And we see that growth on our side when we see what's listed, but then being able to see cars that are competing in events, the more events like that which we are still grassroots racers, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Is really exciting. Like, it shows that the industry is still solid, that fan base is still solid, right?
Well, and I think for us, like on the drag and drive side, it really gives the guys what they wanted. Like, we all started with street cars. We started with the car that was on the street. We used to drive it to the track on Friday nights, make really slow passes. Now you may drive a car like Bryant's here, and you drive it to the track. You drive 1,500 miles in a week.
That's what's amazing.
On a trailer that's gigantic, huge tires, all that kind of stuff. And like, these guys use these things. This car has 6,000 miles on it just this year. From drag and drive events, or probably 5,000 miles this year.
Which is still huge, right?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, there are people who don't put that much on their daily
There's
drive.
people that don't put 500 miles on their race car, but yeah, definitely. So I had a Suburban at one point in my life, and I worked a mile from my office, lived a mile from my office, and I put 3,000 miles on it in 2 years.
Right.
Like, he put more than almost double that on that this year. and that car's way cooler and way faster than what my Suburban
This
was.
car is amazing. I can't wait for you guys to talk about it.
Yeah, it's so cool. And obviously with Bryant doing this car's kind of, everybody knows him for
Yeah.
this. His new
Yeah.
car, I don't know if you've made it over to the
Yeah,
XS
went and saw
Power.
it. I looked at it. They were unfolding an enormous sticker to put on it. And so I was like, I will come back and talk to you later because this
Nice.
does look like a two-person job. But I did see it.
Oh,
It takes up that entire booth. We were joking about having it in here this year, or excuse me, for next year. And I
yes.
was like, we've had some big cars in it, but that car is enormous.
Yes,
And
very long.
gorgeous.
Yes, very long, very low, a lot lower
Yeah.
than this car, and I think that's going to help him go even faster.
I think so
Which I'm
too.
really excited about because he's kind of the baddest man on the planet
He
right
is, in
now.
fact,
Yeah,
right?
four wins this year.
Yeah.
The
Like
stat that sticks out in my mind is 19 days of drag and drive racing in this car, and 17 of those he turned in a 6-second time slip.
Unbelievable, right?
Wild.
Like also
Different
just
tracks.
go that fast now.
Yes, yes.
And like this car broke some other records, right? Like it was, I think the first non. I did lose my my train of thought here, but when it for drag week, it was not it was not the class that usually takes
Unlimited. Yeah,
yes.
it was
So I was like, I don't want to get them mixed up, and
non-unlimited
now
car to
yeah,
win
the
an
first
overall. Yes.
non-unlimited.
Yeah, and this car just continues to stack
Yeah.
awards. It
Yeah.
continues to stack class records, which is a big deal for our point series,
Yeah.
which is what you guys are seeing on
Exactly.
the roof there. Second time for him to win that championship. Really cool. It's only had 2 times, and he's won it both. So
It's amazing.
he's a little competitive.
Yeah,
And
I want that, but
so I
he's
think,
very like stoic about it.
oh yeah. Well, we're trying to work that out of him a little bit. But as he continues to do this stuff, it's really going to be amazing to be able to look back and see all the awesomeness that he did to get.
Right. Well, and also like he's inspiring other people, as you guys are going to talk about later,
Oh man.
to get even faster,
Yes.
to try even more new things. I wanted to just circle back really quickly to talk about how we see that connected to the racing junk community is like when we see that kind of thing, when we see those kind of cars come through, for us, it's a great sense of, again, how the community is developing, but also like how the power and performance of vehicles is developing. Like, and PRI is one of the great places to check that out too, right? Every year there's that innovation of like, what is next? What's coming? What are people trying?
Yeah.
Right. They did the Hall of Fame inductees, and Ed Escuderian was one of the people. And I think like how revolutionary
Yes.
his work. And then every year, and he was so humble when he talked about that, because he was like, I was there at the right place at the right time. Earlier, I couldn't have done it. Later, it would have already been done.
Yep.
And I look at all of these, I look at these drivers, these manufacturers, these engineers, these just guys in the garage who have an idea of how they want to make something work. It's such a fun thing. Like the enthusiast and race space is such a fun space because of that, because people are not afraid to push forward, and occasionally have the engine explode.
Yeah. Hey, listen, or put a finger-sized hole in the cylinder head.
Exactly.
That's the way it goes. Well, I would love to bring Bryant up
I will,
and have that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Tell them the booth number here so they can come
So
in.
we are 2143. Come see the vehicle. We have our calendars have returned with our lovely Racing Note models signing them. Our t-shirt giveaway, we give away 4,000 t-shirts over the course of the weekend. And if we find somebody wearing one twice a day, we give them $100.
What?
So the incentive is to put the t-shirt on, to wear it, to continue to support Racing Junk community.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, come and see us. And we're thrilled to have you guys and the car here. So
yeah.
happy to hand it over to Brian, which is who I know people really want to hear from.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now
Thank
we just
you
have
so
to get
much.
his attention.
We're ready. He's over there being cool,
You're
talking
upset.
to everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Welcome in. I know we talked yesterday about your new car, but I want to talk about this car today. I want to talk a little bit about your year before. I mean, obviously you've had 2 insane years. It's been very, very fast. It's been very awesome to watch this come down. I'm gonna grab a Gatorade real quick, and so I can get a drink while you kind of give us a little bit of history on the car. I'll be right back.
Okay, so this is a car I've owned for, I believe, 38 years now. Raced it most of its life. It's parked whenever I have something else to run. Different, I mean, I've 2 or 3 times I parked it for 5 years. The last few years, it's just doing all the drag and drive stuff. Basically, I mean, we pretty much won everything we've done. We've had very good luck with this. My father-in-law builds my engines based on a big block Chevy. They proven to be the most durable engine you can get out there. I mean, so yeah, this car, I mean, it's done a lot the last few years for sure, and it's done a lot of. I mean, I said I have 38 years. It's done NMTA stuff, NSCA stuff, Flowmaster shootouts, and it's been everywhere. So
That's awesome. And a ton of time behind that wheel through that windshield's pretty cool, man.
yeah, it's gotten further away from the windshield over the years, but as it's been transformed into faster and different and safer. But yeah, and then the wreck, it changed a bunch. Then that's when Joe Schott got involved, and I had somebody else redo the chassis, local guy to me, Bob Senador. He did a great job on getting all the bars there, but Joe knows what to do with the bars once they're in the car, and he changed a few things to his liking, and then this thing's really turned around after that. I mean, and plus, I mean, the longer you have a car, the better you get at tuning it. So
yeah. Well, and one thing we talk about all the time is get a car, keep it for a little bit, work out all those bugs. Don't build a new car every time you want to come out to an event. And this car has had a lot of bugs worked out of it in the time.
Yeah, I mean, the bugs are, I don't know if it's the car or the just learning what to do with the next car too. So I think we've learned a lot with this car, what to do with the next car.
Yeah.
So that we should come out swinging, right away. We're not bringing the car out unless we're ready to put everybody in the rear view, because we only built it so that we could compete with Unlimited and not have to worry about being just the most reliable car that's fast. We want to be the fastest car and be reliable.
Yeah.
And just plain out kick their asses. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't wait to, I hope people have seen the new car because man, that thing has broken the internet and the drag and drive community. It's everywhere. You see, I don't know how many shares I've seen of it. It was all of my feed last night, to be honest. It was all I saw.
It's pretty much what it should be. It's badass. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely
it
badass.
takes away everybody's meals off, your feeds and what they had for dinner last night and everything else.
Yeah.
And all the negativity and just put some positive shit out there.
That's exactly right. And man, that car is so cool. And again, we're going to talk about it in a minute. But I want to know, what's the future plan for this car? What's coming up?
This car is right now. I could take it to a drag and drive. The way it sits, it's ready to go.
Yep.
I mean, it's off of drag week. We didn't do anything to it, but it's ready to go. I have another engine at home that I like better. I may put in if for the next event I do with it, but I may not. I'm still trying to decide
Yep.
that. So we're really trying hard to get the new car ready and tested to go to Sick Week. If it's not, this one is ready. So this one will go to that one.
That's awesome.
And so basically every race I plan on doing Sick Week, Matt Frost Rocky Mountain Race Week for sure.
Yep.
Sick Summer if I can fit it into my schedule. And then of course drag week is one of my main goals. I mean, that's the big one, that's.
And it'll be the 20th anniversary. There'll be a lot of stuff that comes along with.
Yeah. So yeah. And yeah, I'd like to set the records there is what so if I could test the car and get it close, then going there and setting records would be, ideal, but
yeah.
I mean, we're not going to wait for there. We're going to try to set them right away.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. And that's really what put that title belt on top of the car again. That's what you did last year. You reset class records, then you come back out this year and reset class records again in every event that you'd set them in last year. So it's really cool to have seen this car move faster and faster and faster every year.
Yeah. I never really planned on doing 3 races last year and 4 races this year, but but I don't know. It's once you win them, it's kind of like your race. You don't want somebody else to win your race. And so that's why, at least my thinking behind me is why I just keep throwing more money into it and keep going and going and going so that somebody else can't win my race, or they have to at least beat me. They can't just give it to them.
Right. Okay. So we got about 10 more minutes. I want to talk about Rocky Mountain for a minute because you had one of the craziest weeks out there. It was very, very hot. I want people to understand it's 100 and something degrees temperature outside. What kind of temps were you guys seeing inside the car?
I'm pretty sure it was 140 on the firewall, and the steering column was that hot too. It was the steering it isn't padded, which I'm changing that for next year, but all the heat from the engine compartment transferred up the column onto the steering wheel, and I had to use rags to steer the car because my hands would hurt from sitting on them too long from the heat.
Wow.
So yeah, it was extremely hot in there, and it was hot outside in the sun too. So
yeah,
I mean, we were out in the sun.
You picked a black one.
Yeah, it was red with the black stripes. So I figured, you know what? I mean, the only way to make it hotter in the car would be to paint more of it black. So that's the way we went with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a hot one, and then we ripped the oil pan off. I think after day 1, on the way to day 2, we were getting an early start, went right from the track, drove all night, could almost, the last 40, 50 miles and then rip the oil pan off of the car. But not off, but it broke it,
Yeah.
pulled it back about an inch. The whole sump moved back about an inch and broke it in the front and the back and left the trail oil going into the gas station. And so we spent about 6-7 hours there. And of course, by now we're working on it, and it's the heat. The sun was up and
Yep.
it was blasting on us, and it was 100 plus the whole day we were working on it. About took everything out of you. Then we drove around town trying to find out where we were going, and we probably drove an extra 40 or 50 miles. We were so lost
Oh my gosh.
trying to find our way back onto the route. And
Yep.
so then, it was that was the most challenging race I've ever done. But that's the number one on my priority this year, just because they pay something, unlike the other ones that just line their pockets. Matt Frost puts a bunch back into it, makes it a racer's race. So yeah, I can't wait to be there.
Yeah, and hopefully the new car will be there. If not, this car is there and it's completely capable. One thing that's been awesome about Rocky Mountain is Larry Larson has held the overall outright record at that event since 2015. You were within 5/100ths of a second on your average from taking that down. But by the end of that week, man, there was just, I can't imagine the just pure exhaustion that you were seeing at that point. And like, let's be honest, to be that close, you're the second person to ever finish with a 6-second average at Rocky Mountain. It's stellar performance.
Thought I had more energy after all that week in the heat. You told me we were that close, and I honestly, if looking back, I probably should have just tuned the car up and went a tenth quicker, and and got it, but because I don't think we ran our best at all there at any time, and
Yeah.
we would have waited for the right temperatures at the right time. We probably could have set it up between the last day or two at least, but yeah, and I just found out today that I could bring the new car there because it doesn't have to weigh 3,100 pounds now.
Oh,
So yeah.
yeah.
So I guess I'm going to look at what competition shows up and decide which one I want to bring. If it's tried, true, and tested, we might bring the new one to that race. But if not, it'll be the javelin that we know makes the trip. So
right. And so Rocky Mountain this year is called Mega Week. So they're actually running 2 events. So they're going to have an A and a B group. It's going to run 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. open track time. The first half group will run in the morning, which you're used to kind of with 6 events and Hot Rod Drag Week. But then race week is going to run at night, or B group is going to run at night from 3 p.m. to 11, which is normal for Rocky Mountain. So I want to talk about the difference in like how you prepare for racing at night compared to racing in the morning.
Well, I prefer the morning part just because you have light, and I like to leave the racetrack and drive to the next one and then sleep. That way, if anything happens, you have all night to fix it and not sleep,
Yep.
So it's just the opposite there. So we're going to play it the same, except drive in the dark and then try to sleep during the day, but we didn't get much sleep. So it kind of didn't work. I mean, I don't think we had 20 hours all week.
Yep.
But, yeah, this is a podcast going on right here. So
Sorry, we're recording.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I guess do you get your choice what to run there or no?
So as a badass as you are, I'm sure you can talk to Matt. So there will be 2 signups. You can choose to sign up for Rocky Mountain, which would be your A group, or you can choose to do B group, which for race.
Yeah, I would definitely be choosing, even though the drive will be hotter during the day, I would rather have 24 hours or close when I leave the track to make sure I make it to the next one.
Yep. See, I prefer in slow cars, I prefer the night racing because then we can drive at night overnight. Or if I sleep at the track or close to it, then we're driving during the day to get to the track, and I feel like my adrenaline gets more as I get there. But
my adrenaline was more on the way to every track because we did sleep one night and then drive because we just couldn't go anymore. But yeah, and I couldn't cancel the hotel, so I figured, might as well get some sleep because I'm not going to make it there anyway. So yeah, I just don't like I don't see good enough at night, and we're not ones that just make a pass and have to put more fuel in and make another pass. We have to actually work on the car, and then I put it together in the dark. You just can't see shit. You can't see it. I mean, I got special lighting for that and everything, but it still isn't the same
It's
as.
not the same as
No,
being
I'd
in
rather.
daylight outside.
I'll be, if I have my choice, I'll be doing the A group.
Right. All right. So we got about 3 more minutes. Going to choose A group coming out. I heard you say yesterday in the awards show that you're hoping Larry Larson comes back out.
Oh yeah, I talked to Larry today.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's hear that conversation.
Well, I like to fuck with everybody, so he was. I don't hold back on Larry. I just congratulate him about his photo shoot for the hot rod with his full page headshot, and said, well, I see. I'm not gonna go there, but yeah. But yeah, I told him he should bring his stuff out there, because
Yeah.
I'd rather race against people and not win. I mean, I'd rather have more competition, because
Yeah.
there was only Jason Hurley was the only competition. He went out early last year.
Yep. Yeah,
And,
and
you know,
I know that him and Bowtie Engine guys have been working very hard on that car to make sure it's ready, because he's trying to double enter, and is one of a few people that I think that Matt is going to allow to double enter in the event. So he'll be making passes in both sides of the event. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
crazy. Yeah. I'd have zero desire to even attempt that, especially in the level of cars that you guys run.
Well, he's probably choosing to run both, so that at least can win class on one of them, right? Is that what you're? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you never know. He could win it all. I mean, we're a little faster than him, but
Yeah.
we're just here to motivate him to go faster. So maybe,
Turn it up,
we'll see you in the
That's exactly
the
right.
finals.
Well, let's talk about how Rocky Mountain at the end runs the shootout, because they're one of the
Oh,
only
God.
events that do that. And so they have, your quick 8. They do like a second quickest 8. Then they do a 16. Not that you're worried about any of those slower cars, but then they do a huge bracket race
Well,
too.
I think it's a great idea, and I love it. I mean, we sucked at it last year because we had a problem all year last year. For a good part of it, we found a wire that was making partial contact to one of the
Oh.
injectors, and we couldn't spool. Well, it works and works and worked perfectly for most of the time there. It had a couple spooling issues, but it waited until that race against a 9-second car to not come up on the compute on the chip at all.
Oh my
And
God.
I didn't even leave the line because it was at 1,000 RPMs, and it had no boost. So I got my ass handed to me by a 9-second.
Wow.
Which, you
Hey,
got to.
listen, that dude is still saying I
Oh,
outran Bryant.
he won. That's for fucking sure. I mean, you gotta have your car ready to go. And I mean, we fucked up, and I fixed all those problems. So there's no more 2 injectors to make this car go down the track. Just the one set, and it killed us, man. And it was so damn hot that it was like, I was God, I've never been so mad in my life.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like that's probably got to be one of the struggles at a car of this level. It's hot all the time. It's hot in it. It's uncomfortable. But man, when you make that pass, when you let go of that button and it rips with 200 miles an hour, like I mean, I can't imagine what that feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get that run in and done, so that you can relax a little bit and get ready to go to the next place. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it was even at Hot Rod Drag Week. I mean, I was starting to get a little nervous I was going to lose, because I was like, someone up there doesn't want me to win, because they keep giving me more and more shit to fight through. And
Yeah,
then it pulled it off at the end. So it must have just been, that Brian was actually screwing my car up. Just for Hot Rod probably paid him to make it have more drama or something.
oh yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
because
what those guys look for.
yeah, that's all they want is the drama. That's why they put the shit cars on the covers most of the time. Because people like the rat rod crap. And
Yeah,
but in the drama,
street race cars, man. I'm telling you. Well, drag week was crazy too. So you literally put like a pinky size hole all the way through the cylinder head.
it wasn't a pinky; it was a thumb.
Oh my God!
It was the size of a quarter.
That's wild. So you guys thrash all night to get that fixed. Brian Robbins, your co-pilot, then goes home, welds it up, has to redeck the cylinder or cylinder head, all the kind of stuff. I mean, hours and hours and hours. And then you get to the next track and put transmission in it.
That was 2 days later.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, 2 days. Sorry.
So the next day we showed straight up, and I can't remember if I ran 1 or 2 hits at the track on that day, but it went just as fast as it did on day one. Went a 650 something, and yeah, and that was great. But then it was like I hadn't slept since the morning before, and we drove about 50 miles, and I'm like, dude, let's just get a room here.
Yeah.
and that we drove the rest of the way in the morning,
Wow.
and then we have all the problems.
Yeah.
So
Man,
we got
that's
there.
intense.
We got there late. They were already running, so it takes us about an hour and a half to 2 hours to cool it down and get it switched over. And
Oh,
we're losing valuable time that we didn't think we needed.
yeah,
So it came down to, I think we had like about a half hour left to make a run when we did.
man, that's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. So that's always the race I've wanted to win. I mean, when I originally built this car, I wanted a guitar. I wanted to be on top of the podium with Larry standing next to me on a step or two down.
Yeah.
But then he built a other car and Unlimited happened and all else is history. And I've been
Yeah.
chasing everybody since then with the heavier car, basically just Tom left because Larson quit and went
Lutz
on.
is doing other stuff.
Yeah, everybody's doing their own thing. They did
Oh,
no prep shit. And
right. We saw Lutz back for sick week.
yeah,
So
signed up for this year, I guess.
right. So I think he, those guys have wanted to come back. They just haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the only way they're coming back, they're making money at the other shit. This other stuff doesn't pay nothing. So
Yep.
to come back here and do this, you got to really like it, or you're gonna make a bunch of money on your YouTube shit and destroy some shit for the fans. I
Oh
guess.
man, yeah. We want to destroy stuff just for clickbait. That's no good.
Some of them you think that's what they do though. So
Oh, I know some of them do it
yeah,
for sure. Oh, one more up arrow.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the way it goes. Well, listen, I want to say thanks for coming in. I want to say thanks for spending time with us today and yesterday. You were very pivotal in the excess power being, allowing us to unveil that car with you guys and run the live stream here. And I appreciate you doing that. And
Yep.
all the just all the extra stuff you allow us to cover.
I enjoy you guys. You guys do a lot for Dragon Drive, and we appreciate all that you do for it. And thanks to Racing Junk for letting us be in their
Yeah.
booth. It's like it was built for it with the red and black. So
Yes, yeah. The car looks amazing. And
yeah.
then Andriana was already talking about maybe next year having the Corvette in here.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
game. For years I was unwanted, just so everybody knows. All you that did it, then there you go. So I'm like literally 150 miles from here, and I don't charge anyone to bring my car here.
Wow.
They're nice enough to get my hotel rooms, which was awesome. But yeah, I mean, and
That's great.
So it's nice to be wanted once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And that's one thing that I think has probably been the most fun about watching this. I'm not gonna say your rise because you've been at the top for a long time, but to see the level of stuff that you've been able to accomplish in the last 2 years, man, we're Team Goldstone. We are take it to the top, take it to the front. We enjoy you, all the stuff you do. I mean, you are not scared to tear one down and fix it and get back on.
That's for sure. We're in it to win it. We're there to the end,
Yep. Well, quick shout out to your co-pilots
Yep,
and some folks that are involved in the car. And
yeah, definitely without Brian and Rob Sanders, this wouldn't be possible. They're both awesome, and it's so good to have them and my father-in-law with the engine stuff. And we got Steve's stuff going in the car that Brian's putting together in the new one. So it's going to be a good year next year. I don't know if we'll do 4 events, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think what'll happen is the same thing that'll happen or happened in 2023. It kind of starts getting to the end because you really had this about locked up by June. And then Drag Week came around, and then started doing the math. Like, oh, well, hey,
I think it would be better for you guys if we lay back a little bit and just win it at the end like last year, so you can have more drama.
Yeah, there you go.
So we might have to choose stuff wisely and make it a little bit more interesting, and maybe slow it down and give some of the other guys a chance at something. So
just dangle it in front of them.
Yeah, right. You got to dangle the cheese so
right,
or the nuts so the squirrels can get it.
That's exactly
like my buddy Slow Friend Day over here. So yeah,
yeah,
he's aiming for me. He wants a part of me, but
oh man, well hey, he got his first 6-second pass at Drag Week, right?
It didn't happen because a 6-second pass only happened. Right, Dave. A 6-second pass doesn't happen on day 1 unless you do it on day 2.
Oh.
So it could have been anything. It doesn't count. Sick the Magazine isn't Hot Rod the Magazine. They didn't say it there. So basically, if you do it on first day, it doesn't work because anyone could do it off the trailer and tow their shit home, like Dave did.
Yeah. Oh.
And
ouch.
It's not all bad. It wasn't Dave's fault. People talk about engine builders. Everybody makes mistakes, and his guy made a mistake and cost him his week. Yep. So it can happen to anybody.
The one thing is, I'm sure that motivated him to come back and having that number on the board. I'm sure we'll see it again.
I'm trying to motivate them all. Matt Frost, bring it.
Yeah.
David, bring it. Zach, find somebody that can build an engine you like and bring it.
Yes, please. We'd love to have all those guys back. They've been away for a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let you go.
All right, man.
Your PRI show. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, man. See you. Thank you,
Mac.
Oh, dude, I love it. That was great. All right, guys. So the Havliks are getting ready to come in here. They'll be in just a moment. In just a minute, they're going to talk about their event. Obviously, we're going to talk about the fastest streetcar shootout tribute race, and then we're also going to talk about the bounty that's been laid on this and kind of the story behind that and all the fun that's going to come from this. So, if you guys will, I'm going to hand you this mic, and you guys kind of tell us a little bit about the event and run us through like how successful last year was, and then what we got planned for 2025.
Well, to start us off, I'm just going to say first, I want to say that Drag Drive Repeat is coming on board as a sponsor. We're going to be listing them on a lot of stuff. We're going to be using some of them stats to determine the Drag Drive shootout, how everybody's going to qualify to make sure that they do qualify because they have to complete what we are changing now is that they have to complete a national event that is considered national by Drag Drive Repeat. Before we were putting it on just a couple different events that we were calling the Ironman events, but now we're gonna open that up a little bit because I think there's some other cars out there that you have completed what is still considered an Ironman event, and we need to include all of them and give them all the chance to come out and prove that who is the fastest. That's what we're trying to do with the Drag Drive shootout. So, but to touch on last year, you want to start on that?
Yeah, last year was absolutely amazing. We had iconic drivers like come out of the woodwork and really lit a fire under everybody's tail, I guess. And yeah, everybody came from all over the country, and we saw cars that hadn't been out since the '90s, and it was like reliving your childhood if you're from that era. And it was it was it was something that brought a lot of tears. It was hard for some people. We brought about a lot of old things back, tried to bring some of that nostalgia to it, all while including the guys from today's fastest Dragon Drive, like Goldstone's car here. And he was the winner of the Outlaw. It was unlimited class last year, and it'll be Outlaw this year since we're kind of going with the old school Outlaw themes of the past. But that's you know, better give her Jess here so I collect my thoughts.
was something that Mark was asking me about was or Michael, sorry, was asking me about was some of our history with this. And in '97, one of the biggest stories that we have that sticks out to us the most is that we we borrowed Brian's mom's car and we drove to Memphis and we packed a few other buddies in there and the car was overloaded. There were things done that week that we probably can't talk about or we don't want to talk about. But we were young and dumb and we went to Memphis. Probably shouldn't have been in Memphis at that age, but we were going to what we wanted to be in the future. And you know, to be able to do that, go there, see these people, look up to them, and then 25 years later, here we are putting an event on to tribute these people and you know and say thanks to them because when we sit and think about this, the the fastest streetcar shootouts that were by Hot Rod Magazine back in the early '90s, it has evolved to Drag Drive, and we've just taken it to another level. But there's so many of these people that were pioneers of what we do now that back then they didn't have social media, they didn't have podcasts to stand here and talk about. They didn't get the recognition, and we're able to do that for them, and it rekindled that fire. It's you know like Brian touched on that we you know so many passions have been brought back up and you know it's just cars are being bought you know and racing junk here we're in the racing junk booth and they're looking for them cars on there. I guarantee it, trying to find them cars that they lost 20 years ago and people are buying them back and they're putting them back together. And I mean there's a ton of surprises coming for 2025. Some of them we can talk about, some of them you're not going to know until that day you get there.
That's awesome. And I'm excited about this because we have a really good lead up opportunity here to really build a lot of momentum and a lot of hype for this event. And there's a lot of cars that, like you said, raced in those years that those guys have had no reason to bring them out because they just wouldn't be competitive in today's market or today's world of racing. But because of the cars they are, because of all the history that's there, it makes total sense for them to come to the Havliks Fastest Streetcar Shootout and do this event and man, maybe make that car a little bit faster.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're doing with some of our classes. I mean, trying to keep that nostalgia part of it. You know, last year last year was about making it known and that the event's out there and having some fun, reuniting all these people. And that's what made it emotional. But this year we're adding the Nostalgia Pro Street class, which is going to be a carbureted class. It's going to be a power adder class, but you're going to be limited to a 10-pound bottle of nitrous. You know, I mean, there's some stipulations on it, like it was back in the day, their original back half cars. So we keep that nostalgia feel. We took the Pro Street class that we had last year and we moved it to this pro. It'll still be called Pro Street, but it's going to be your more today's Pro Street cars that are capable of going a lot faster. And you know,
we're trying to give it some separation. So the older cars that aren't in the competitiveness of, say, like Goldstones, still fast, but have a place and a class to be competitive and get them back out of the garage. And that's what's going on right now behind the scenes everywhere. So, but, and then,
Sure. So here in our booth, we've got Bob Rieger's original 57. It is owned by Mike Hayden, which Mike Hayden was the original buyer right after Rieger sold it. And Mike raced it for quite a few years, but the car was all in pieces 2 weeks before our event. Mike called us. He drove from California, dropped it off, and said, "We got to get this thing back together because it needs to be there." And it absolutely did. It's one of the most iconic cars of that era. So we did everything we could, along with trying to get my Opel back up and running a week before the event, putting the 57 back together, finalizing all the details for our event in 2 weeks. We thrashed and we made it happen. You know, I mean, he drove it. And it rekindled fire for him. I mean, this last month, Mike's been out updating his license because he's coming back next year with that car and he's going to run it. So,
after the event, that car is going back to California with Mike, and they're going to put on the chassis dyno and start sharpening its teeth for next year. So cool, way cool.
So last year was at Tri-State. We made a deal with Cordova for 2025. It's going to be August 14th through the 17th. We are going to do the photo shoot the 14th that night. So if racers want to come in early that Thursday, the 14th, we will be putting all the cars on the track, doing a photo shoot, and we're going to be adding something. I can't let that out just yet because we got some details to finalize, but
It's
you're
going
going
to
to
be
want to be there. You're going to want to have your camera. And yeah, hint, hint, it's going to be a blast.
That's an iconic shot. That's I know Richard Edward Dirty Panda got that drone shot.
Awesome.
But also the pictures that came that those cars nosed in on the it gives me goosebumps standing right on.
Yeah, it does. It raises the hair on your back. It, like it was just an epic video. You know, I mean, like the sound he put with it and just the atmosphere, like it caught the atmosphere of what it was.
The neatest events because guys that have been car guys for a while that were street car guys then like that's what we all wanted to have, was like a badass car that could drive around like what we're seeing today. Those cars were it, just like you said, those cars were the ones that were able to do that.
Well, I mean, like last year it was on TV, you didn't see it. There was quite a few Tri-5s, but we actually had a ton of Tri-5s sign up. We had a ton. Monty Bernie's car, they were inspirations for so many Tri-5s. It was unreal. And not many people know this, but we had 38 cars that didn't make it that day that signed up. The reason a lot of them didn't make it is they were testing the weekend before because they were going to let it hang out. So, I mean, 38 cars that like, that's pretty cool to see that those guys were willing to like go for the gold, because that's what this is about. It ain't about averages. It's about who makes it to the end first, you know.
And so many of these cars, you know, growing up, these people didn't realize it, but for lack of better terms, they were influencers before there was influencers. And it's not really a term we like to use, but it's the easiest way to describe it. They didn't know it because they didn't have the technology we have today, but they had the technology in their cars to keep up with some of this stuff today still. So that's why they need to come back out. They need to come back out and play it. So,
well, let's talk about playing for a minute because this car here came in last year and won the whole thing. So let's talk about what's happened with that. Kind of tell us a little bit about this bounty thing you got going.
Yeah, so we all know that Goldstone's been dominating.
Yeah.
And it only seemed fitting to come up with something that might drive everybody to step up a little bit and want to take him out. So I know Bryant has a lot of things to say all the time.
And you never know what.
Today, he's got his program together,
Yep.
and somebody needs to come up and see what they got. So
Yeah, I mean, we're calling it the Tony Christian bounty because, like, if you saw that the racing back then, Tony was a firecracker, man. Like he was always up in the camera, and you never knew what was coming out his mouth either. And like, it just seemed fitting to put these two together and have have a little fun with it, you know. And it does bring out a little competitiveness. So.
So we're putting up $1,000. Joe Shaw Racing, the Racecraft has come up board to do that. He's part of this car too. So he not only is the money involved, but he's also saying,
Hey,
"Come on."
He's putting his
Yeah.
Joe's putting his money where the mouth is.
Yeah.
Where his mouth is.
Yeah. So, win. Is going to have to be taken out in an elimination round. Depending on how it works out, this car could be entered in a class or it could be entered in the drag and drive shootout. We'll cross that bridge when we get that far, but right now it looks like his other car will probably be in the drag and drive shootout. This will be in the class. Somebody will have the chance to take this car out. It has to be the Javelin in an elimination round. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Something else, if you want to talk about money, we can't say thanks enough, but Annette Summers Racing is putting up $7,000.
$7,000.
Every number one qualifier is going to get $1,000 in our 7 classes. So, I mean, to have a racer like that on board saying, this is what we need. I mean, that's what she's doing. That's what we take. She believes in what we've come up with. She's put me up to say, we need these people to come out. We want to see these cars racing. We want some heads up racing. She wants it just as bad as us.
Yep.
Yeah. And she's coming. She's coming to race, and she's said it many times. She's coming to whoop on the boys. She said it back then. She says it now. So be ready.
That's awesome. Well, what else we got? What you got in the
well,
stuff right now?
well, can I touch on the drag and drive shootout deal?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so like the drag and drive guys, we came up with this whole shootout to kind of tie in like the fastest of all the drag and drives, get them all together. Well, there's been some confusion on when you're registering, you can actually register for a class. Your car fits into whatever class, register that, race that. The drag and drive shootout's gonna only be on the final day, Sunday, when we run the finals. So that whole shootout is gonna run through the finals. So don't you can enter for just a drag and dive shootout, but you can also enter another class and race it. There is a possibility you'd end up the last day if you're in the finals. Since we're going to run all the finals, you might run like in the finals and the drag and drive shootout, which might get a little hairy, but I think we can slow things down enough to make it work and whatnot. But just to clear up that confusion, the drag and drive guys don't have to just go in the drag and drive shootout.
Yeah.
So
and you can make that decision the day of.
yeah.
Registration will be over at noon on Friday. So noon on Friday, when you're there, you need to be registered if you want to. You can do it ahead of time, and we advise that you do just to alleviate some of that chaos. But if you decide you want to do it, or you just finished a drag and drive that makes you qualify for it, that's in. You can do it the day of. But get registered now, get it filled up. Let's get on with it. So we've got 7 classes this year.
No, you're fine. I'll get you after that.
Well, did you have more to say?
No, I was going to go on. I got some other stuff. But
Okay. So class wise, we've got Outlaw, which would be this car right here. Goldstone's car would be in that class. If you're going to take him out, that's the class you're going to need to be in.
And that's your tube chassis, big tire cars class.
Unlimited, basically, but we're calling it Outlaw to be in respect of how it was back in the day. So we changed that up a little bit. So you've got Nostalgia Outlaw, which these are going to be cars that they have to have competed in from 2005 and earlier of the NMCA, PSCA, all them sanctions. If they have those credentials, they can enter that class. The reason we did that, cars that don't have a title, because like at one time the rules kind of changed and they didn't have to have a VIN number, they didn't have to have a title, they didn't have to have license plate. They're still streetable. We can drive anything on the street, but tailor that to some of them cars that don't have those credentials anymore, but have the history, we gave them a place to race. So
Yeah, it's part of the history. That's why that all came about, because there was original racers that couldn't come compete in an event that's dedicated to them because they didn't have an event. So that's why that got 86th, and those guys need to be there, and we encourage them all to come on in.
so and with that, then we have the pro street class, which is basically going to be your traditional back half cars that are today's pro street. So it's going to be a little bit more advanced than what it was, back in the day is what we called pro street. But then you're also going to have the nostalgia pro street class, which we touched on a little bit. Has it's going to be a carbureted class, no EFI. You will be able to have a single power adder, 10-pound bottle. There's some other restrictions there, but trying to keep that nostalgia part of that. Then we've got True Street and Super Street. We'll have an exhibition class that will be for these exhibition cars that maybe don't want to compete in a class, but we hope that even the ones that compete in the class will also come up and make exhibition runs with that whole group. So we can group all them iconic cars from back in the day together and see them all run together.
Get some classic matchups going.
Yeah. And we still will have grudge. Maybe Goldstone might not get taken out in eliminations, and somebody else might have to say, "Hey, I want my turn," and maybe they can jump into grudge. So there's some options there. The drag and drive shootout, obviously, we touched on that a little bit, but just to touch on that one more time, you guys are going to have to complete a national event to be considered to qualify to register. You're going to have a drive that you're going to have to complete to be able to then use your qualifying passes to qualify for that top 8. There will be a small tire and a big tire. And those top 8s of both the small and big tire will battle it out on Sunday, like Brian was saying, and they're going to win $5,000 a piece also.
Yeah, that's each class gets 5,000. So, and hopefully maybe in the end, maybe we can have a floppy tire radio shootout, see who's the baddest of the bad all together.
Yeah. And so just to do quick math, if somebody signs up for a class, they qualify for the drag and drive shootout, they take out Goldstone, and they are number 1 qualifier, they're going to walk home with 12 grand that weekend.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. And more might change between now and then too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just early stuff.
As sponsors come on board for folks that want to take care of this event, they can come on and they can make it bigger. They can do however it works for that company. You guys aren't turning anybody away.
Right. I mean, we still have a lot of things in the works. There's a lot of stuff that's still going to come out here that it's just going to make it better and something you're not going to want to miss.
I mean, we
for sure.
can't thank them enough. I mean, right now, Sick the Mag, Summit Racing, and Rock On Race Week are all sponsoring the Drag and Drive Shootout.
Yeah. The Drag and Drive's coming together for this. That's
is also involved because we know there's going to be guys out there that want to enter the Drag and Drive Shootout, but they may know that I may not qualify. So what we're doing with gear vendors, they're putting up a gear vendor unit. So anybody and only those guys that enter the Drag and Drive Shootout are going to go into a drawing to win that gear vendor.
That's awesome.
So even if you sign up knowing that I might not qualify, granted this is heads up racing, anything can happen. You're still got the chance. So and it may be 20 cars that qualify or sign up for the Drag and Drive Shootout. It might be 300. I don't know yet, but almost everybody's signing up for it that's signing up right now. So you might want to get it signed up. So there's still something else to win.
That's awesome.
Trying to make it enticing for everybody. So thanks to gear vendors for that's huge.
For sure.
What haven't we talked about? We'll kind of start wrapping.
Okay. The Pro Street Elite. That is a pro street car show we've added this year. We think it fits really well with what we're doing. Cordova gives us the space to do this. So, for those that don't know, the fastest street car shootout was created back from the whole pro street movement. So all these pro street cars got made, and then everybody want to know who had the fastest. So we're kind of completing a whole era of what this lifestyle has kind of turned into from the very start to what it is today. And we have some really, really, really cool pro street builds, some iconic builds from the late 80s, I think coming. We're going to start doing some introduction to some of those, iconic pro street cars of the day. And we're also going to start doing the racer announcements here coming real soon here after Pure Eye.
We let a couple of them out right now.
We could.
Yeah, I'm in.
Well, we all know who Cotton Candy is, don't we?
Right?
That's coming.
That's
We just had a conversation with a couple of guys. We got two 80-foot rigs that are going to be pulling in there.
What-
Multiple cars in there.
I mean, it's
Um,
going to be alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to give too many names out, but
Yeah.
like,
We want to have a little bit more fun on the the Facebook and all that stuff with it. But just to give you an idea, there's some stuff coming.
so where can they find all this stuff?
You can go to Havliks, FSCshootout.com, and everything's listed on there. Our email contact is on there. You can call the shop. All that information is on there. Any question, any email, it'll all get answered. So,
Yep.
don't hesitate to get a hold of us to get your answers. If you want to register, email us. We'll send you the link. We just want some pictures and stuff of the car, so that we can use it for some social medias, and we'll get you signed up. It's a really easy process. So.
So what about social? Will you guys be posting on your page?
yeah, we'll be posting on our Hot Rods by Havliks page, Instagram, and we do have a YouTube channel, all under Hot Rods by Havliks. You search that up, you should be able to find it. And we're just going to start pumping here real soon. So get ready to hang on.
Yeah, we're gonna break Facebook here soon again.
Well, y'all, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate you guys coming by, hanging out. Now, listen, here's the thing. You guys have been watching this on the Racing Junk booth right here. You guys are literally right behind this wall right here.
Yeah.
So as you're making your way through PRI, please stop by. You can see Bob Rigger's car in the booth right there. You guys have done a ton of work to it. I'm sure you're just getting wound up talking about it, because like that car has so much history and it's literally like right around that corner.
Right,
So
right.
it's super cool to be able to be this close to that kind of history.
Yeah, Jeff Lutz came over to just sit in it
Wow.
yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of people coming remembering the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people walk up and say, "Man, I hated this car, but I loved that car."
That's exactly right. All right, guys. Well, if Mr. Eric will shut us down, again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't following Hot Rods by Havlik, you need to do that. If you're not following Drag Driver Pete, I don't know what's wrong with you. Hit the subscribe or follow button right now. Do that. We're going to be live a couple more times throughout the weekend, and then we have a ton of stuff that's happened this weekend already, and it's Friday that we'll be doing. We'll be covering next week in the Drag Driver Pete show.
Thanks, man.
Yo, thank you.
Up a little bit there at the beginning.
Appreciate it. Do what?